Hello there and welcome back to my channel, or if this is the first video of mine you are seeing, then welcome. So I have not done a makeup inventory video since January in 2025, so I thought it would be fun just to do another one here, just see kind of where my numbers are, talk about maybe where I'd like to see some improvements in certain categories. So I'm first going to go ahead and start out with my primers, and I am going to be looking over here at my computer screen occasionally during this video because this is where I have my pictures come up. You will also be seeing the pictures come up as I'm talking about each of the categories. So for primer, I have 5 as you can see here, and this is a section that I always talk about how I'd like to get this down to just 1 or 2, because the one right there in the middle, the Say Glowy Super Gel, is my all-time favorite primer. I love that primer. I find that it just works well with anything, no matter what skincare I'm using, no matter what makeup goes over the top of it. I never have an issue with it. And I love the shades Star Glow and Warm Glow. So I would be fine having maybe a mini of each of those and I'd be good to go. However, the rest of these primers in this picture are not bad by any means. I just really love the Say product. I always go back to it. Now, if you're seeing the Cali Ray one on the very end, that is very similar to the Say product. So it's kind of in that family like glowy primer kind of step, but I still find myself returning to the Say. So probably going forward, I still would like to get this collection down to 2, but I'm fine if maybe there's a couple more options in there, but ideally I would really love to just have the Say product. Okay, next up is skin tints and foundations. I am just putting them all in one category instead of dividing them out. So I have 16 of these in total, and honestly, this is probably a part of my collection that I can see remaining around this size. If I can keep it 20 or less, I feel like I'm probably pretty satisfied with this because I do really love complexion products. I love that category more than ever now, especially now that I'm not so much into eyeshadow, like eyeshadow palettes. I'm not really actively buying eyeshadow palettes or stuff like that. I am tending to focus more on complexion, like foundations, concealers, or blush, or that kind of stuff. So this is kind of a group that I can see remaining kind of similar here, but my all-time favorite here is the MPH La Skin foundation. That one is my favorite foundation ever because it honestly, even though it is marketed as a foundation, it performs like a skin tint, which is what I'm typically looking for. I really like coverage, and I like the serum style products because they just feel more lightweight on the skin, and I love glowy stuff as well. I don't really like matte skin on myself. I do like some glow to be in my skin. So that would be my favorite out of this entire group. But yeah, I can see this group staying kind of on the little bit slightly larger side because of how much I love these type of products. In fact, at the time I'm filming this, I actually have 2 foundations coming to me right now. I did recently place a Sephora order, and I'm going to be finally trying out the new Tower 28 foundation, which I am so excited about that. I'm also going to be trying the new Cushion foundation from YSL, and I never had anybody really bring this up to me on my channel, but I want to mention it here in case anybody has noticed it. I've only ever used brands that don't test on animals. However, I am dropping that label simply because after a decade of following like a vegan or plant-based diet, whichever you'd like to call it, I quit after a decade. So if I'm going to do that, then I'm going to wear whatever makeup I want. So I did pick up the new YSL Cushion foundation. I can't wait to try that, and I cannot wait to try the Tower 28 foundation. I'm so excited. So this group is about to be plus 2 more. But like I said, this is one of my favorite categories, so I can see this one remaining kind of on the slightly larger side. Next are my correctors, and I do have 4, and I'm going to be honest, the first 2 you see in the picture, the Sarah Creel corrector and the Cali Ray corrector in the shade Pale Sun, specifically that shade because the third one in the photo is the same product but in a different shade, which does work for me, but it's not the perfect match. But Pale Sun is my complete match. Like, I don't even have to go over the top of it with another concealer if I don't have to. And that's really the same way the Sarah Creel product is. Even though that one leans a little bit more pinky, I still find that it blends in nicely with my skin tone, so I don't have to put an extra concealer over the top if I don't want to. So I kind of like that sometimes I can go that option and not have so many steps. In fact, while I'm talking right here, I'm actually wearing the Sarah Creel corrector by itself. But those two are my top favorites, so I would honestly be fine with just having the two of them. And the other two are not bad by any means. Obviously, I love the Cali Ray product, but that shade is not perfect for me. It's a little bit too deep. I don't know why I bought that shade in the first place. And the NYX Pro Fix thing, now that one's called like a correcting concealer, so it is technically a concealer. However, because it is such a brightening shade, that shade ended up going a lot lighter than I thought it would. I honestly use it as much more of a corrector and then go in with a concealer over the top. So that's why I wanted to include it here. And it is a lovely product. I've also, believe it or not, worn that same product as like a foundation. Even though it's in like that tiny little stick format, it actually works pretty well for that. I haven't used it that way in a long time though, but I do remember liking it. So it's not that it or the other shade are bad by any means, but the first two in that picture are my top favorites. So this is a category that I would be fine with just those two. I feel like I'd be satisfied with that. Okay, concealers are my next category, and I do have 11 of these. And now concealer is kind of like the skin tint foundation thing. I really like concealers, so I can honestly see this expanding, not really getting much smaller, to be honest with you, because one thing I love about, well, it depends on the concealer, obviously. I love wearing them, of course, as concealer, but can they work as like a foundation or like a lightweight skin tint? That's another way that I love to wear a concealer. And that's what I'm doing in this talking portion of this video. I'm wearing the Charlotte Tilbury, the Airbrush, I think it's the Airbrush Flawless Concealer or something like that. I'm wearing it as foundation, and I love to do that. I love to multitask with products. And so with that being said, concealer is probably going to be a category that I can see remaining. Well, I won't say this is the largest collection ever, but I don't ever see myself having less than, I mean, I don't know if I'd ever have 5. I feel like I'd always have more than that because it is a category I really enjoy. I mean, is that a good thing? No, absolutely not. But I do really love concealers. I like the complexion products like that. I'm more into that than I am into anything at this moment in time. So yeah, categories like this, I don't really see myself working down to be a lot less. I mean, I don't know. I have 11. I guess ideally 10 or less would probably be the better option, but I mean, all of these are good in this picture. I do like all of them. Some, of course, more than others. My favorite is the Ilia one you see on the very end of that picture, and the Tower 28 Serum Concealer. Those are both exactly what I'm looking for. I love that lightweight serum feel because sometimes I do have dryness on my under eye area and I do have fine lines. So the thicker and heavier or more matte a concealer is, it just doesn't look that good on me, so I tend to prefer those types of formulas for sure. But yeah, this is not a category that I can see myself working down that much. I really love complexion products, so it's probably going to stay about the same from here on out. Now, usually in my actual makeup routine, I would next move on to like cream bronzers or cream blush or that kind of thing. However, I'm kind of categorizing this by certain categories like complexion, and then maybe like the cheek, like blush, bronzer, and then eyes and lips. I will have timestamps for you below, by the way, in case you want to skip to certain groups and you're interested in certain things. So with that being said, I'm moving on now to setting powders. And I have 16 of these, which is really interesting because I don't know why this collection grew as much as it did. I guess because it became one of those categories that I just wanted to try all kinds of options for, and I don't know. My favorite would be my Makeup by Mario, the loose setting powder that he has. That one would be my top favorite. I have not found a powder, or at least a loose setting powder, that I love more than that one. That one just, I just really like that powder. I don't know. But there's a lot of these in this picture that I really like. The Tower 28 pressed powder is one of my top favorites. In fact, you're seeing 3 different shades here in this picture. The only one I'm missing is the translucent, and that's because I recently got an empty on that. That was in my previous empties video, if you watched that. So, and I do like that one as well. I would love to see them actually come out with a loose setting powder as well, because I feel like it would be really good. Kind of something to go along the lines with their foundation and concealer, even though I haven't tried the foundation yet, which I'm hoping for the best when I get that in. But if it is really good and as good as the concealer, I would love to see them release a setting powder as well to go along with it. But okay, this is a category that I'd actually like to see, decrease some here a little bit. Yeah, this needs to be a little bit, this is much 16 powders. This definitely needs to go down a little bit more. I don't need 16 powder. I mean, I don't need any of this. Let's be for real, but 16 powders, no, 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 no. I definitely would like to work that down some for sure. I mean, a lot of these are really, really good. There are some in this picture that I probably could declutter and I wouldn't miss them. They're not like top favorites. They're just okay. But there's a lot in this picture that are solid powders that are really, really, really good powders. So I know it would definitely be time consuming to work all of these powders down because there's so many of them, but that does really need to happen for sure because I don't need this many powders. Even though I do like the category, I don't need that many, especially knowing how much I love glowy skin. But I do like a powder to go in more of the T-zone area, kind of like, you know, and then you see the glow on the side. And then in this area, just a little bit more mattified or more perfected, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, okay. That's a category that I need to work that one down a little bit. I'd like to have less than 10 in that category if we're being slightly more realistic. I would love to maybe work out at least 6 of these powders. I don't mean declutter necessarily, but just to start using them a little bit more and, you know, work them out of my collection. Okay, and the last that's kind of like in this overall complexion category are setting sprays. I have 2. This is ideally what I would like to have. Now, the Makeup by Mario one is one that I reserve for the end of my routine that I just spray after everything is done. The Wet n Wild one you're seeing, I did have a different Wet n Wild spray, and they didn't have that one at Walmart the last time I went, so I picked up this one. I only use that to spray my brush before I go in with foundation, so I don't ever use that as an actual, I guess, true setting spray. I don't use it at the end of my routines, and I want a more affordable setting spray to do that, to spray my brush, because I'm going through it a lot quicker, because I am not wearing a setting spray every day. Like at the end of my routine, it just kind of depends on the day. If I know it's going to be a longer day, I do spray it. If it's going to be kind of a shorter, you know, not much is going on, I don't always reach for that, but I always reach for something to spray my brush. So I'd rather have a more affordable option so when I fly through it, I'm not out so much, and then reserve my more expensive setting sprays for those days where I really need my makeup to last a lot longer. So this is what I am happy to have. I like 2. I'd be fine with 3 because I do really love the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray. I wouldn't mind adding that back in, but that would be also kind of like the Makeup by Mario. I would rotate between those with setting everything down at the end, but 2 in this category is perfectly fine. This is what I use, and this is what I like. I'm good with this. Okay, we're going to move on to now more of like the, I guess you can say cheek, even though I know you wear bronzer kind of up here, but you know what I mean when I say that. Kind of, even though it still falls under the complexion, I kind of categorize it as its own thing, like blush, bronzer, highlighter, that kind of stuff. So bronzers. I just put all of my cream and powder bronzers together because as an entire collection, it's not the biggest, so I felt like it would make more sense just to combine them. And I do have 16 of these. That is excessive, absolutely, that is very excessive. This is a category that I really love cream bronzers more than I do powders, so the ideal situation would be me decluttering possibly some of the powder bronzers, not all of them because the ones pictured here are good, but that would be probably ideal to pass, you know, some of them on, because I'm so much into the cream bronzers these days. I like that more than ever. Now, my favorite types of cream bronzer are the very balmy, kind of lightweight, very glowy kind of cream bronzers. Those are typically my favorites. Like a good example of that would be the Refi cream bronzer or the Sarah Creel cream bronzer, you know, ones like that, or the Summer Fridays. You know, ones like those that are a little bit more thinner, very easy to work with. They easily blend out on the skin because sometimes I can be pretty heavy-handed with bronzers, so I do like to have more of those options like that where if I accidentally go overboard, I know it's going to blend out, you know, seamlessly. So I do prefer that type of formula. I do like powder bronzers occasionally, but with those, it's almost like I have to force myself to use them because I don't typically want to. In fact, I have one in my everyday makeup drawer, and I maybe only used it a handful of times this month, and I just want to reach for the cream bronzer over that. I just don't really want to wear the powder stuff. I don't know why. Right now, I'm just all about the cream products. They just feel better on the skin, I guess. Especially right now while it's so hot. But this is a category that I would like to see this go down maybe a little bit. Maybe around maybe 10. maybe 10. I'm going to be a little bit generous here with myself because I have 16. So maybe around 10 would be a good spot for this. I mean, even that's excessive if we're being completely honest, but I am not a minimalist. I have never claimed to be a minimalist, and while I don't have the largest collection, I certainly don't have the smallest. So I'm not at this time in my life, I'm not a minimalist. So I would say 10. I'd say 10 would probably be a good point for me to have, and probably all of those would be cream products. In fact, let's see. In fact, if I got rid of all of the powder bronzers in that picture, that would take out 5 right there. But I don't know if I want to do that because the powder ones still are good. It's hard. It's really hard. When you actually sit there and think about like whether or not you would want to declutter something, it is actually really hard to think about. But that being said, yeah, this is something that, yeah, maybe 10. 10, I think 10 would be a good number, so I really need to work on this category a lot more. But I do really love bronzer. I just need to tone it down a little bit. Okay, next up would be blushes. Now I'm going to divide these out by cream and liquid blushes and then powder blushes because this is a lot larger collection than like the bronzers. So I'm going to space everybody apart. So first up, we're going to start with the cream and liquid blushes. There are 61 of these, which is, ouch. Now I do have the Patrick Ta duos in this category, even though there's a powder and a cream in those. I'm going to count them in the cream category because I'm going to be honest, most of the time when I use those, I reach for the cream side over the powder side. So I'm including them in this category, so that would put me up to 61. There is one cream blush that is not pictured in here, so in the picture, there's only actually 60 being shown. I do have 61 because there was one blush that I forgot in my everyday makeup drawer that's a cream. So there are actually 61. Which is that's excessive. That's excessive. And I do like the cream ones more than the liquid blushes. I'm just, there again, I'm more into that format these days, but okay, decluttering blush is hard. I've done it several times on my channel. I have some blush declutters. I think there's one from the very beginning of my channel. Then I think I did one, I don't know if I did one at the beginning of this year or the end of last year. I don't remember. This is a hard category to declutter for me because it is one of my top favorite categories. I love blush. I love everything about blush. In fact, I'm about to add another blush because in that same Sephora order, I have another blush coming. And it's a cream blush. So this is about to be 62. I would love to sit here and tell you that this collection needs to be cut in half. But I just don't know if I could actually reasonably say that to you. I really don't. I just don't know if I could do it or not because this is one of my just top favorite categories. I feel like this is always going to be one of the largest categories in my collection, like my blush totals in all, like including this and powder. So ideally, yeah, it should be cut in half, but I'm not going to really say that because I know it's not going to happen. Even though, yeah, this is excessive. This is very excessive. I know, but I do love blush. I love trying out blush. This is just one of my top favorite categories. And right now, while I'm definitely not buying eyeshadow palettes or anything like that, this is a category that I feel like has exploded a lot more than ever recently. So yeah, no, I'm not gonna give a goal for this category because it's not gonna happen. I'm just gonna tell you, it's probably not. There are some in this picture, just a few, that I probably could actually end up decluttering. Only a few though. It's one of those things where maybe there's like 5 that I could declutter looking at just at an overall glance of this picture, but I don't know. Maybe if I could talk myself into it, but probably not. So that category is probably going to stay about the same going forward. I can just see that being the case. Okay, so next up are the powder blushes. Now in this particular photo, I left them in those individual little containers because it was just so much more easier to pull them out of the dresser. It's actually a dresser that I keep them in, and just keep them in these 4 containers. You know, it was just easier instead of spreading them all out. So with powder blushes, I do have 57 of these. This is actually not that much smaller than the cream blushes, which, okay. there might be a couple of these blushes that I could declutter. I'm seeing a few in this picture that I don't think I'd miss them if they were gone. I don't. I mean, I could be wrong, but there are a few that I'm looking at in this picture that, yeah, I think, yeah, I could part ways with them if I needed to. But I mean, blush is just probably going to always be my largest category. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it probably is my largest category. I mean, now, if you don't count all of the eye stuff in total, like, you know, if you're just looking at blush as a category versus like eyeshadow palettes, yeah, the blushes are my biggest collection, but I do really love them. I do feel like this is one category that I am very, very weak when it comes to this. I'm always wanting to try new things. And another category that I have that problem with is like lip balms and lip oils. How many lip balms and lip oils does somebody need? And you're going to see exactly what I mean when I get to that category. But yeah, okay, for this, okay, I have 57. Okay, maybe if I could have 50 or less. So if I decluttered possibly 7 out of this collection, because I do like the cream blushes more than the powders. I do. I really like the cream stuff more. And there are a few blushes in this picture that I'm thinking, yeah, I could easily just move them on out of my collection and I'd be fine. So maybe 50. I'll say 50. Could end up decluttering about 7 of these and be satisfied with 50. That's still a lot. I know, that's still a lot, but it is what it is. I just really love blush. Okay, and the last thing in this kind of like cheek category would be highlighters, and I do have 9. However, the 4 you see on top, those 4 Wet n Wild, those colorful ones from Wet n Wild, I don't use those as actual highlighters. I use them as eyeshadows, like eyeshadow toppers. So I put them in the highlighter category because that is what they are, but I don't wear them as highlighter. I wear them as eyeshadows. So with that being said, then it would honestly be I have 5 highlighters if you count them more as like single eyeshadows. But they are technically highlighters, so I put them here. Now, this is a category that I don't care about at all. It's not that anybody in this picture is bad. No, of course not. It's not that. It's just I already have a lot of glow in the rest of my products, like glowy skin tints or glowy bronzers, glowy blushes, that adding an extra highlighter for me is just not really necessary. So honestly, I would keep my 4 on the top because those, like I said, I use as eyeshadows. But, you know, I mean, I probably could declutter the rest and I'd be fine with having no highlighter. I will say the one on the end here in the picture, the ColourPop one, that one is very, very pretty. And I love the name because I believe that one's called Pink Pony, I believe. And I'm all about horses here on my channel. I mean, it's no secret. It's absolutely no secret. I'm not very subtle about it either. If you're not new, you would know that. I mean, I have horses everywhere. They're over there, they're over here, they're over there. I have horses all over this room. So I'm not very subtle about that at all. But the name aside, honestly, yeah, I'd be fine with having 0 in this category. I'd be fine with that. Now, the next one that I have that's on the bottom, that's like the 4th one, I've used that as eyeshadow as well. So I can maybe keep that one for like a single eyeshadow kind of thing. And then, honestly, maybe declutter the other one. I might keep Pink Pony by ColourPop just because, but the rest, the other ones, I can see myself decluttering. It's not that they're bad, it's just I don't reach for highlighter enough to have this many. So yeah, this is a category that I'm fine with maybe just 1, and the rest of them, like the 4 on top and possibly the next, I would use as eyeshadow, not actually highlighter, just eyeshadow. So yeah, I'd be fine with 1 in this category for sure. So let's move on to the next category, which would be eyeshadows. Now, what I did with eyeshadow, I did singles, duos, and trios together, and then I just did the eyeshadow palettes completely separate, like all in one category. So for the single eyeshadows, duos, and trios, that includes eyeshadow sticks. I have 61 of these, as you're going to see right here in this picture. Now, there are 9 that are not pictured because I guess because I spread my makeup out all over this room. Like I have certain makeup in different areas, like my everyday makeup drawer, or I have right here next to me a little basket that has all of my Patrick Ta duos. I forgot to include those in this picture. So with those 9 added, I have 61 single, duo, and trio as far as eyeshadows goes. Now in this category here, this is probably something that I could kind of, you know, pare down a little bit because my favorite in this whole entire picture are my Ilia eyeshadow sticks. Those are my #1 products ever. However, there are some of these single shadows, like individuals, that I really, really love, like the more sparkly topper kind of shades. I really love those. So there are some in this picture that I feel like, yeah, I could part with and I'd be okay with that. But there are some that are just really, really, really good. But this is the type of category that I'm much more into now as far as eyeshadow than actual palettes. I do still try to actively reach for my eyeshadow palettes. I do try. I want to make an effort to use the ones I do have, the ones that I really love. But I really love one and done eye looks these days, or maybe a two and done, like an eyeshadow stick and then a sparkly shade over the top. I feel like that is my perfect everyday look, and I'm satisfied with that. So, you know, yeah, I mean, I probably could get rid of some of these. There are some that I probably could declutter, and I'd be okay with that. Especially maybe some of these trios that I'm not really that into, or maybe some that the shades aren't really what I reach for, because I see a couple of these in the picture that are a little bit too deep for me and for my preferences. So some like that I probably could go ahead and declutter. So I'd like to get this collection down a little bit more than this. I want this to be a little bit more curated to shades I actually really love, that I would actually use and reach for, and then kind of declutter the excess. So yeah, this is a category I'd like to see go down. Now, I don't have an exact number of what I'd like to see, but I would like to see this collection cut. I know for sure the Ilia eyeshadow sticks are always going to be safe, as well as my Patrick Ta eye duos. I really love those for that topper quality because they and the eyeshadow sticks are really what I'm wearing these days. So yeah, this is a collection I'd like to see go down a little bit, but it's also the category of eyeshadow that I do love the most, now more than ever. Okay, next up are eyeshadow palettes, and this is another that when you're seeing the picture here, I left them in those little baskets because it was just easier and more simple for me instead of laying them out, because my poor little blanket is not that big, and I was wanting to do this in one big category instead of separating it out, because I know in my original inventory I did like 4 pans, 5 pans, 6 pans. You know, I didn't want to do that for this video. I just kind of wanted it to be its one category. So for eyeshadow palettes, I have 69. This is a number I want to see cut in half. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's absolutely, I want to see that cut in half. I don't know if it's realistic, but I honestly would rather have 30 or less, because this is not a category I care about these days. I do love eyeshadow palettes. I think they're beautiful, but it's just not the type of makeup I'm reaching for. I want very simple, easy eye looks. Now, yes, you could take an eyeshadow palette and, you know, do a one and done, but I mean, realistically, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go right over here to where I have my little acrylic everyday makeup drawer. I keep all my eyeshadow sticks in one of them. I'm going to reach for one of those and I'm going out the door. I'm not going to go over here to this dresser and reach for an eyeshadow palette. It's just not the way it is. The only eyeshadow in general that I'm really reaching for is my focus shade that is in my I Need a Nude palette from Natasha Denona. But other than that, I have been trying to do a couple of more eye looks for like Instagram Reels and then YouTube Shorts eventually, using some eyeshadow palettes. I have been trying to do that a little bit more, but this is a collection I won't cut in half. I want it in half. I don't need this many eyeshadow palettes, especially knowing it's not a category I care about. So by the end of this year, or possibly at the beginning of next year, it just kind of depends. I maybe would do another eyeshadow declutter. And we could also maybe declutter in the singles and duos and stuff together as well. I can add that into the video. Just do a big eyeshadow, just entire eyeshadow category declutter. That might be a good video to do at the end of the year. Because, yeah, this is something that needs to be cut in half. I don't need all these palettes. I know what I like. I am a neutral person. I mean, look at what I'm wearing today. I'm neutral. I love neutrals. I don't mind a pop of color here and there, but realistically, I'm never doing that off camera. I do occasionally like to add a pop of color for camera when I'm filming, or just in general sometimes. I don't always do it, but sometimes. But in my everyday life, I'm not doing that. It's not that I don't like it, it's just I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to reach for the most simplest thing I have, which are neutrals. That's just who I am as a person. I'm very neutral, probably very boring person, and if you think I'm boring, that's fine. You know, that's fine. I just like very simple, easy makeup. I love neutral makeup, so that's typically what I'm going for. So this collection, yeah, in half. I want to see it cut in half. Preferably a little bit over half. I would like to see it to 30 or less if possible. There are some palettes though that I'm attached to, not necessarily to wear them all the time, but they might have like some kind of memory or some, I mean, which I know some people say, well, you know, nah, get rid of it anyway. And then some people say just keep it as like a keepsake. Don't count it towards your collection. Put it in like a memento box or something like that. There are certain products that no, I wouldn't want to get rid of them for any reason. But in general, I would love to see this collection cut down in half. Let's see if I do decide to do a declutter at the end of the year. We'll see if I can actually accomplish that or not. I think I might could do it. Okay, so for eyeliners, I have two. I have two eyeliners here, and honestly, I only want the one, really, the Makeup by Mario one. The other one from Gen C, that one was sent to me in PR, and it's not for me. It's definitely not. It's not that it's bad, it's just, it's a black eyeliner. I don't wear black eyeliner. It's not the kind that is very forgiving in the sense that it doesn't let you smudge it out to make it softer. It's like a very thick, bold line. I don't like eyeliner like that on myself. I just don't like that look for me. I like, if I'm going to wear eyeliner, I want it to be very simple. I hate to say barely there, but that's probably, yeah, or brown. I like brown eyeliner. I don't really like black eyeliner on me, especially with my makeup style. It's just a little too harsh for what I'm wearing. I like a brown. Now that being said, I do have two of the Ilia eyeliners coming my way, but those are two shades that I know I would really like. Well, assuming the formula is going to be good. I haven't tried them yet, but assuming the formula is amazing, they're shades that I know I would use because they're kind of like that brown or very light category. But just out of the two in this picture, I would only want the Mario one. In fact, I keep saying I'm going to declutter the Gen C one in general because it's not that it's bad, it's just not for me. This is a category that I want, yeah, maybe I'll say 3 since I'm getting the Ilia ones in and hopefully they'll be good. But I don't really want a lot in this category because it's not technically my favorite. Okay, mascaras. I have 8. 6 of them are open, and then the 2 on the bottom are ones that I've gotten with points from Sephora that I haven't opened yet at this time. I do like to occasionally use my points to get those mascaras like that because it's a good way to test them out. I don't know. I just really enjoy doing that. This is something that this does not need to happen. I don't need to have 6 open at one time. Now, one of them, the one in the pink tube from Gen C, that one was sent to me in PR. And in fact, at the time I'm filming this, I'm actually getting 2 more mascaras. I didn't buy them. A brand is sending me a PR package, and there's going to be 2 of them in there. So this category is actually about to expand by 2 more, but I mean, I'm all for trying out mascaras, and I love brown mascaras way more than I like black mascaras. Now, yes, the brown typically ends up looking like a soft black on me, I guess because I already have dark eyelashes in general because of my dark hair, but I still love the idea of them. They still do look softer. In fact, the mascara that I'm wearing today, this one is from Merit. It's their Clean Lash Mascara, and it is in the brown, and not so much in this light, but like in natural lighting, it does look a little bit more brown than some of the other mascaras I've tried. So I'm much more into brown than I am the black. However, the mascaras that you're seeing in this picture, they're good mascaras. I like all of them. Now my favorites out of this group would be, well, the Cali Ray, the Tower 28, and the Merit. The Gen C one is good. It's not that it's bad. It is good. And then the Kosas one is good as well. I don't know. I just think the other ones are better. Ideally, this should be a category where I only really have maybe 1 or 2 open, but I say that all the time, but I just don't know if it's actually going to happen or not because I'm always trying out new ones, or I'm now getting a few in PR coming up soon, so I don't know. It's probably not going to be a category that's going to actually decrease, even though it should. It really, really should. Okay, so the last in this kind of brows and eyes category are the actual brow products. I have 7 here. Now, I'm fine with having just 2 in this category. That would be the Rare Beauty Brow Gel and the Iris and Romeo one that you're seeing, the first 2 in the picture. Now, the Billion Dollar Beauty one, which is 3rd in the picture, now that one was sent to me in PR. And then the one you're seeing that is fifth, the Versed, those are good as well because they're tinted brow gels that do everything I need. But the other three are ones that I definitely want to work out of my collection for sure. It's not that they're bad, they just don't really fit my preference. And the pencil on the very end, the Kosas pencil, I do really like it. If you're in need of a good brow pencil and you're wanting to spend, Sephora prices, that's a really good brow pencil. However, I'm just at the point where I want a one and done brow. And actually, with that pencil, I think maybe just a few more days and I'm going to have a complete empty on that brow pencil, which that makes me happy because I've been working on it for months and months and months. If you watch my everyday makeup drawer videos, then you will know how often I put it in that just so I could get some use on it. But ideally, I would love to see this category go down to 2 because the first 2 in the picture are the ones that I love the most and I'd be satisfied with that. So yeah, this is something that 2 is good for me. Okay, so now we are moving on to the lip category. So we're first going to start off with lip balms and lip oils. I just lumped them in one big category. I have 57 lip balms and lip oils. Now, some of them are duplicates. And you can definitely see that in the Tower 28 ones, and it's because I buy the little holiday sets they come out with in the minis because they usually do a limited edition one in those sets, and every year I buy them. But then there's also duplicates in there. So I have quite a lot in this category, but this would be my favorite in the lip category. I love lip balms and lip oils because they're exactly what I'm reaching for on an everyday basis. Something that might be very lightly tinted, or some of them aren't tinted at all, but the ones that are, that's what I'm reaching for. Now today, right here, and we see me filming, I'm only wearing a lip liner, but for the most part, I'm reaching for a lip balm or lip oil. That is just my favorite category ever, so ideally, this should be a much smaller category of mine, but I don't really see that happening because of how much I love this category. But that being said, I do need to really work on this and get some of these down. In fact, I should really start out with the minis of those Tower 28 lip softies because they're a little bit easier to go through than the larger ones, obviously, so I need to start working on those and getting this collection down a little bit, just a touch, because I can see it always being a little bit larger because of how much I love this category. But yeah, this does need to be toned down just a little bit, Okay, next up are lip liners. I have 40 lip liners, and it's because if you can see, the first so many on that top row are full. No, actually they're not. I take that back. Now, I have all of the Tower 28 ones. I was just about to say that I have all of the MPH liners, but no, I don't. She recently added, I think, 4 or 5 more, so actually I don't have all of her lip liners. I did initially, but now she's added more shades. This is quite a large collection, but these are good. These are really good lip liners. There are some in this picture that I feel like I could declutter. Really more so the gel lip liners because I am definitely much more into the wooden lip pencils. However, the Merit ones are in that gel format and I love those. They feel like a lip balm. I love them a lot. So those aside, a lot of these other ones that are more of that gel type formula, I really should go ahead and declutter them and just keep the other ones because yeah, I reach for the others more than them. Maybe I could declutter about 10. Just looking at an overall glance at this picture, maybe 10. And by the way, there are, I think, 2 or 3 lip stains in this, but I count them over here with liners because I typically wear those as lip liners, so they are in here. But yeah, I think I could declutter about 10. Maybe about 10 of these, and that might be okay. That might be a good stopping point for me because I do really like lip liners. In fact, that's one of my favorite ways to wear a lip liner and then a lip balm or lip oil over the top. So it doesn't surprise me that it's a little bit of a larger category, but yeah, I think I could maybe declutter about 10 and I'd be satisfied. Okay, next up, lipsticks. I have 18 lipsticks. Now this is a category that needs to be cut down, and I'd say at least half. I'll say at least that because I'm not too big into lipsticks, at least not right now. I do really love the Merit ones you're seeing there at the front. I love the ones from Merit because they are that really beautiful soft matte finish, but they just look stunning on the lips. I don't know. Those are beautiful. I'd like to at least cut this down by half if possible because I'm just not really into lipsticks. I don't see myself really returning much to that category. I don't know. I just don't really see it for myself. I just kind of feel like, yeah, decluttering at least half. At least half. I'd be satisfied with that. Maybe that bottom row, because I feel like I never wear anything on that bottom row that you're seeing, like all the how many is that? 8 on the bottom. I feel like I never reach for those 8. I mean, I don't reach for any of them that much, but I definitely don't reach for those bottom 8. So honestly, I might could declutter those, maybe. The top row I'd be a little bit more torn on because some of those very, very occasionally I reach for, but there might be actually 1 or 2 from that top row that I can see myself getting rid of as well. So yeah, I'd like to see this cut in half, and I might revisit this, not obviously in a video because it would be too short, but I might revisit this on my own time and see if I can cut this collection maybe in about half. Okay, and my last and final category is lip gloss, and I have 48 lip glosses, which that's another thing that's not really surprising because kind of like lip balms and lip oils, I'm reaching more for these glossy kind of formulas over anything else. However, there are some that I'm looking at in this picture that I'd be okay decluttering. There are a few of them that I think I could part ways and I'd be okay with that. Now, some of them, I had actually at one point been working my way through some of my lip glosses. In fact, I ended up completely emptying, not decluttering, emptying about six or seven lip glosses so far this year because I started focusing on them. But then I made the mistake of starting to focus on a lip balm and like a squeezy tube lip balm, and that takes me a lot longer to go through versus a gloss. So I need to maybe put the lip balm back to the side right now and see if I can work this collection down a little bit more, because there are some of these I'm seeing in the picture that they have like half left or less than half, and I think I could quickly get an empty if I would focus on them a little bit more. So yeah, I'd be fine maybe cutting this down just a little bit. It is still a category I really like, but yeah, it needs to be cut down. I'll say some. And there's a few that I'm seeing here that I'd be okay with decluttering for sure. So yeah, this is a category that I want to work on. In fact, I might put that lip balm that I've been working on kind of to the side because I am not making any progress on that lip balm. And maybe focus a little bit more on these lip glosses, especially some of the ones I'm seeing in this picture that are minis, because that would be an easier way for me to kind of quickly work some product out of my collection, maybe. I say maybe because it might not. It just kind of depends on the formula, I guess. So yeah, I'd be fine kind of cutting this down some. I don't see it going down too much, but some. Okay, but that is my entire makeup collection. I don't know, I think these videos are fun. I really like to see other people's collections when they do makeup inventories. I know most of the time when people do these, they're usually project panners. They're actually trying to actively, decrease their collection numbers, but I mean, regardless, I like seeing people's collections no matter if they're a project panner, if they're a minimalist, if they have a huge collection, whatever the case may be, or maybe kind of like a in the middle collection. I love seeing anybody's collection, to be honest. I like to see what they like. But I do hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, I hope you will please consider leaving a like, a comment, or subscribing if you haven't already. And make sure you hit the bell icon so you are alerted to all my future uploads, and follow me on Instagram at jessicadeerly. I will not be listing any products below or anything for that matter, so this is just simply a collection video. But there are a few links that stay in my description all the time, and those are affiliated, and if you choose to use them, thank you so much for supporting me and my channel, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!